is off. Let go of the shame, remove all the pain, block it out like a troll on your timeline. The past is what made you who you are today. Embrace it, let it go like an exhale. Remove it, remove it, remove it. The muzzle is off.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Muzzle is Off podcast, where I am your host, Nikia Monet. I hope y'all are feeling all right. Okay, all right. Because I'm all right, and I'm not all right at the same time. And I hope it's okay for me to not be all right today. Okay, because there's a lot going on, and there's so much happening. And a lot of the times I feel like it is very hard to keep up with everything that is transpiring. It is very hard to keep up with everything that is happening. Like sometimes I feel like I need to do a show daily, and there's not enough hours in the day for me to really do the Muzzle is Off podcast on a daily basis. But I feel like that sometimes because as I, scroll through social media, friends send me a lot of, and I thank every single last one of my friends. I thank y'all, because a lot of y'all send me stuff and like, this is content. Donnie is like the top friend, like content. And I listen to everything and I take in everything. And I'm like, sometimes I just really feel like I just need to go live, even if it's just for 30 minutes, because there's a lot happening. Oh my God, there's so much happening. And one of the things that my sis, because she always sends me something for content purposes as well, because she knows I'm not afraid to talk about anything. And one of the things my sis, she sent me is this video that I'm about to let play. I'm going to let it play because I feel like we need to understand the full magnitude of what is going on in this video. And before anybody, because I know how y'all get, that's not all the churches, that's not every church, that's just that one person, every pastor's not like that, shut up. I'm going to say that once and for all. And I don't care who doesn't like that. I just told all of y'all who say that to shut up. I'm saying shut up because we know that. But that doesn't take away from what's happening. And every time you say, there's not every church, there's not every bishop, there's not every apostle, there's not every, you're taking away from the impact of what actually happened. So shut up. I'm putting that disclaimer, I should put it across the little band, make the little banner and say, shut up. I'm saying shut up because we know that. We know that's not. We know that these things are not in every church, but the fact that it is happening in a church is a problem. And what I find is that y'all don't like dealing with problems. And especially when the problem is from leadership. You have a problem with holding leadership accountable. And shame on you for having an issue with holding leadership accountable. Because if any one of y'all have a job, and in your job, if something fails and it is an operational failure, that falls on leadership. And guess what? The leadership is held responsible for operational failures. Why? Because they're the ones that is responsible for the operation. You put policies in place, you put procedures in place, you put checks and balances in place, so therefore you're responsible for the operational breakdown. Am I lying? No, because I got a job. And I'm a leader. So for me, as a good leader, because there's a difference between good leaders and bad leaders, okay? A good leader takes responsibility for their department. Good leaders. I'm going somewhere. Follow me. Okay? Good leaders accept responsibility. They accept the account of if an operational failure happens, a good leader does not say, well, my analyst, well, this person, well, that person. Well, no, a good leader is going to say there was a break in the process that is now being identified, and here is the remedy for this. A good leader will identify the root cause, perform some level of a root cause analysis, go back to the parties involved and say and ask them privately what happened, manage the control, whatever that control is, manage it, remedy the break, the barrier, the breach, whatever it is, they're going to remedy it. And then when they have to go report it back, you're going to, as a leader, there was an operational failure in my department. It wasn't caught until such and such. Here is how we remedied it. Here is how I am going to ensure that this won't happen again. Now, if it happens again and you have all these things and all your checks and balances are all in place and it happens again, right? And it's due to a failure of an individual contributor, at that point in time, you raise the issue with the individual contributor to say, okay, this happened. We already corrected this the first time. What happened here? What wasn't followed? Because we have all these steps in place to ensure that this operational failure would not happen. Where's the disconnect? And then if the person does it again, you go through it again. And then at that point in time, you then have a person that probably just doesn't like to follow rules, doesn't like to follow instruction, just thinks to do things on their own because they think they know everything. Hello, we got them all. And then where do they go on? A performance improvement plan. And then if their performance does not improve, what happens? But for some reason, in this ratchet church world, y'all think that when you have operational failures in leadership, everybody just needs to be quiet. Everybody just needs to mind their business. Everybody, you can't have an opinion. You can't say anything. And guess what? This level of manipulation gets passed down from generation to generation to the point where you literally have people that are accepting of things that are just not right. Forget it's not godly. Forget it's not holy. It's not right. And in any other world, half of these people probably would be locked up. But in the church world, it's so ingrained, it's so embedded that these people see no type of repercussion for the shit they do, because it's shit. It's pure shit. It's disgusting. It's slimy, grimy. It's just made up of everything that you done ate for the day, week, month. That's what it is. It's just shitty. And you guys, all of you, not every church is like that. Not everyone is like that. Not all the women like that. That because when I read that on my post, that's how I read that. Like I read it like you're whining. We're all not like that. We know. Fuck. We know. But we're talking about an operational, organizational, spiritual breach. It is a breach that you guys consistently employ these people under a false premise, because it's false. Well, you're supposed to restore one to another. Shut up. Well, the Bible says you're supposed to forgive your brother 70 times. Shut up. Well, the Bible says, shut up. You know what? Let me create my banner for shut up, because I feel like this is definitely, my message is probably gonna be shut up. If you think you're about to say something, shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut F up. Boom. Scroll it across the bottom. Add the banner. Shut up. I don't want to hear it anymore. And guess what? Neither do victims. You want to know why victims don't want to hear the same rigmarole? Because at this point, we fed up. There was a point I was talking to my friend Jamel. I was talking to Jamel, and I said there was a point in time in life where a lot of us felt that church was necessary. Like, I need to be in the house. I need to be there. And we are slowly moving into a place where no longer do people feel that it is necessary. It is not necessary for me to have to be there every single day. It is not necessary for me to have to be there every single Sunday. It is not necessary for me. And understand, they're not saying that the love of God isn't necessary. They're not saying that, reading the word isn't necessary. They're not saying that Jesus isn't necessary. What they are solely referring to are these freaking hell houses that y'all keep calling church. And then you have the audacity. Your messaging is flawed, because I laughed at another post that someone shared. Your man keep cheating on you. You go back to him. So why you can't go back? Why you keep running from church to church? Whatever the hell that stupid thing said. And you know what? And like I said on that post, if that's the church's marketing tool, we're all doomed. Because guess what? Whether I run back to a man that hurt me, I'll be damned if I run back to a church that hurt me. And it ain't hypocritical. You want to know why? Because how dare you say that this is supposed to be my safe place? How dare you say this is supposed to be a house of prayer? How dare you say that this is supposed to be refuge? How dare you say that there's supposed to be healing? How dare you say that I should be able to find love and acceptance and family? And the only goddamn thing I find is strife, bitterness, brokenness, and a whole bunch of other crap that keeps going on in these buildings. Why? Because half your leaders don't pay attention because you just up there showboating, putting on a whole damn emotional show for whatever the hell you emotional about in that day and in that moment. And you ain't paying attention to the cries that are coming from the pews. I ain't never seen so many freaking exhausted, overwhelmed, church-going people a day in my life until I enter. Let me tell you something. Ain't never seen it. I have been, I was telling my friend this weekend. I said, and I said it to my sister today. I said, remember when I was so engraved in the church world? And she said, mm-hmm. I said, how much drama was in my life? She said, a whole bunch. I said, and ever since I ain't been really that engraved, how much drama has been in my life? She was like, hardly any. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How many other people could really say the same thing? That's the problem. When I had, and that little toxic ass message, a lot of y'all like to say, well, if everywhere you go, and that's what, then you're the common denominator. No, I'm going to tell you what the common denominator was. The common denominator was what you breathe inside them buildings. That was a common denominator. Pastor talking your business over the pew. First lady don't want nobody talking to the pastor. This one can't talk to the pastor. That one can't talk to the pastor. Oh no, you can't meet with the pastor. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you know what? Oh, Oh, you can't wear those shoes. Oh no, you can't wear no makeup. Oh no. Oh, this, that, and the third. Oh, you know what so and so said? Well, let me tell you what so and so said about you because they said this, that, and the third. And and let me tell you. Oh, and because and then you want to sit up there and lay hands and pray for a person. Next thing you know, this one's sleeping with the pastor. Wife upset because she trying to figure out who the hell is sleeping with her husband because she don't know who the hell is sleeping with her husband. Next thing you know, now this one, oh, I got to do this for the church. I got to do that for the church. And I don't have time to do this. Next thing you know, husband over here mad because wife just all up in the church, ain't spending no time at home, ain't cooking no home cooked meals for him, but cooking for the pastor every goddamn Sunday. Listen here. Now you got the children running around and all this other extra stuff. Children ain't got no rearing because daddy always at the church because this is where the daddy is and this, that, and the third. So the mother's home and she overwhelmed. All of this shit goes on and y'all say nothing. And then want to tell people, your first ministry is your family. Act like it, damn it. Act like it. And all the while, half y'all praying to an image of Jesus that don't even exist. It's not real. Y'all don't want to talk about that. Because half of y'all ain't been to seminary school to really know the truth anyway. That false image of Jesus that everybody keeps swearing is Jesus. That I don't even know where the hell that image. Well, I do know where that image came from. Okay, because education is important. Mm-hmm. They always said, if you want to keep Black people ignorant, put it in a book or take it out the Bible. Best way to keep us ignorant, put it in a book or take it out the Bible. You want to know why? Because for so long we was indoctrinated and engraved that the Bible is the only book that we needed to read and understand why God wanted us to be slaves, understand why we are subservient people, understand we needed to understand that slavery was okay. We needed to understand that we were less than. We needed to know this. We needed to understand that we were the cursed people. We needed to know this. And this same book that they use against us to hold us and keep us pigeonholed is the same book y'all praise every single Sunday, that you read from every single Sunday, that you believe in every single Sunday, without doing any further research to understand the actual book. I ain't against the Bible. I keep my Bible. I keep myself studying the Bible. But what I am against is ignorance and pure stupidity. Now check that. So we ain't going to be ignorant and we ain't going to be stupid today. Let's get into this video. It is literally 20 minutes long. But I think that it's important to really listen to what this man has to say, because this is happening. And we need to get real about it, and we need to deal with it and stop telling people that they can't have a voice. They shouldn't tell their story. They need to keep it in the house. Oh no, you're exposing. Let me tell y'all made it seem like exposure was a curse word. And it's not. Exposure is not a curse word. I see a lot of y'all on y'all little posts and stuff. And yeah, I call them little, because anytime you try and tell a person that they can't expose, that they can't do anything, that they can't, your post is little, because so is your mind. Yeah, I said it. Because let me say this. I ain't scared of not near none of y'all. To be honest, not near none of y'all. Not a near none of y'all. So your little mind with your little post want to always talk about, hey, you shouldn't expose, you shouldn't expose, you shouldn't expose. The devil is a liar. Y'all better keep opening up your mouths. Keep opening up your mouths. Keep telling the truth of your experience in this machine that they keep calling the church. It is a machine because they created it, and they created it so that you would stay subservient. And now the image that you're staying subservient to is your pastor, whoever is over that house. That's the image that you stay subservient to. It's no longer master. They changed it from master, and they now want to call him pastor, and now they want to make them look just like you to deal with this foolishness. I wish I would. I really wish I would, because I'm not. Ain't no way on this earth would y'all ever get me to go back into a structure and make it seem like I'm less than the leader, because they're a leader. I work inside of y'all crazy. I work inside of an organization, and no one feels less than anybody. So you think I'm going to go to a church with all these titles running around here and all these people feeling as if they're big up here? I get to talk to the apostle. Oh, I get to talk to the leader. Oh, I get to talk to the bishop. Ooh, I'm carrying the apostle's bag. Ooh, the apostle said my name. Y'all are crazy. As long as God know my name, I don't care about none of this stuff that go on over here in these little buildings, because God knows my name. As my grandmother, she'll agree with you. Now, let's get into this video.
There is a corner from where his linen closet is and the kitchen. He pushed me there, grabbed my behind, licked me in my ear, and said, I'm going to get me some of this. I froze up because this is my grandfather. What kind of grandfather does this to grandchildren? Those that are victims, and those of you that work out there in the world of when victims speak, it's called fight, flight, and then there's a freeze. They added the term freeze in there. And some of y'all that's commenting on here, you can stop because you still support him. And after this is over, I'm going to go ahead and block you again, because some of y'all still been going. And that's fine. But let the record show I ain't no liar. I froze. That was the very first start of his sexual perversions. And just like everybody that's trying to stand up for him, trying to say that, oh, we wanted it and all of the above. No, ain't nobody want nothing. He's such a man of God, why he couldn't see that. Anyhow, so after my brother spoke about it, I went to a licensed clinical social worker at my place of employment. I spoke to her about everything, and I said to her, I said, my brother now has HIV. What am I supposed to do? Because I'm married at this time. She said, Devin, just go get tested. I said, that's easier said than done. Because what happens if the tests come back positive? How am I supposed to tell my wife? How am I supposed to tell my family and my wife's family? Who gonna believe me? She said, just go get tested. Just hold that right there. Some of y'all that's commenting, if your children at the convocation, don't comment on my live. If you're still sending your kids there, do not comment on my live, because this ain't the first story that you've heard. Stop sending your children up there. Now leave me alone. I'm so serious right now. Do not comment if you're sending your kids and your family there. Now, anyhow, he came down. We were going to go get a chair for my grandmother, the youth department. One of our elders was coming to pick me up, and I was at his hotel with him. And that's when he started doing his foolishness. Dry humping is what they call it. Now, I ain't going through a whole bunch of details, but I'm just giving you a little few points here. And I sat in that truck going all the way to Columbia, not knowing what to say or how to feel. Because we were taught, we all sin and fall short of glory. And I'm not saying that I did everything right in Solid Rock, because nobody has. But one thing I can say I didn't do, I did not force myself onto somebody. So let's just make that plain. One thing led to another and another and another and another. He came down one year to preach for my grandmother's anniversary. And he ended up having to go to the hospital for apparently blood clots. We stayed there. Different preachers came to preach while he was in the hospital. Myself and two of my brothers, we were there the entire time. We actually drove him to the hospital. One day, it was a real just dark, gloomy feeling in the room. It was just him and I. And he said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, Bishop, what do you mean? Because in my mind, I had already stopped calling him, for the most part, Granddaddy. I did a few times, but I guess my mind equated Bishop, because that's a desired title. So I would call him Bishop over anything. I said, what do you mean, Bishop? He said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, what do you mean you don't know what you're going to do? She going to tell my business. And I said, who? So the CNA that was taking care of him went to a church that he used to preach to in Yamasee, South Carolina. All right. And she's going to tell my business. No, they can't do that, because simply that will be against HIPAA violation. Nobody can, if they're taking care of you, they can't tell it. And he said out of his mouth to me, it was either 2014 or 15, one of those years. He said out of his mouth to me, they say I have HIV/AIDS. And I got sick to my stomach, because just a few months prior, he had went completely all the way there. And he asked me this stupid question, I need you to be with me. And I replied to him and said, be with you? First of all, and I have nothing against anybody of whatever love life they have, so please don't take it that way. I said to him, first of all, I'm not gay, Bishop. Second of all, I'm in a committed relationship. Me and Brittany were dating at the time. I said, and third of all, you're telling me you have an incurable disease. I can't be with you. What do you mean? Put this in your notes when you get ready for your official message, sir. Anyhow, we left with all of that. I went and purchased my wife's engagement ring. Still trying to be a grandson. And I said, sir, I want you to look at my ring that I got from my wife to be. And he got so upset. I don't want to see that. And the angry faces, I don't know if it's Solid Rock or who it is, but you can be as angry as you want to, but the man did it. Anyhow, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. So I said, fine. Later on that day, he said to me, I want to apologize for how I reacted because I shouldn't have acted like that. I told my grandmother, I said, my granny, you know, granddad acted a nut when I tried to show him the ring. So victims give clues that they are a victim. And then they step back because they don't know how to talk about it. So I said to her, she said, well, why would he say that? Well, maybe it's because you won't be able to travel as much as, you know, you've been traveling. I said, well, maybe that's what it is. And I left it alone. So before I went and got married, I went to him respectfully. And I said, Bishop, I don't mean any disrespect when I come to you with this question. But do I need to go get tested? And he said to me, you ain't got to go get tested. Ain't nothing for you to worry about. And I apologize. Somehow I got off of there. Y'all still on here? If you're still on, just say you're here so I can pick back up. I apologize. Are y'all still here? Just reply yes. Okay. So he said to me, you don't have nothing to worry about. You ain't got to go get tested. So in my mind now, I'm thinking, well, does this man really have HIV/AIDS? Or did he just say that to me so that I could be with him? So I trusted him and never got tested. I would get in line when people would come up to preach about healing and get in line and say, Lord, please, if it is HIV in my body, please don't allow it to affect my wife. The emotional distress that I went through every time I got ready to be intimate with my wife, no one will ever understand. Will never understand. And we find out that we're having a baby. And now in my mind, I'm worrying, Lord, you know, please, if my baby's born, please don't let her come up with HIV. This is nothing that she asked for. This ain't nothing that I asked for. These were my exact words. So fast forward back, when my brother talked about the HIV, I went to the licensed clinical social worker and talked to her. And she said, just go get tested. I broke down in her office and I cried. I said, what am I supposed to tell my wife if this does come back positive? She said, we'll get to that when we get there. I walked over to Walgreens in Savannah, Georgia. This bag has been sitting in my car for over a year now. I walked over to Walgreens and I purchased an at-home HIV test after my brother spoke about what he had. You see, I ain't share a lot of this with my grandmother. And I don't have to cry because I've cried enough over the past year and I'm going to get there soon. I went and purchased the test. It was the longest 20 minutes of my life. I walked over to my place of employment, swabbed my mouth, put it in the solution, and I waited. And everything started playing back in my head. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you talk to somebody? Why? Could anybody see it? 20 minutes. That felt like forever. And after 20 minutes, I looked at the results and the results came back negative. So I said to myself, there's no need for me to talk about it to anybody. It's negative, and I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to talk about it. It's negative. I'm good. He can go on with his life, whatever, whatever. And it ticked me off because although I'm negative, I've got brothers that are positive because of this man's foolishness. And you got people that still there in Winston-Salem shouting and speaking in tongues. Every last administrative assistant that sits on the board knows about this man's filth. Every last one of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. They know about what he is about. But instead of anybody sitting him down, they push him on up. You can come on with your live later, just like you did in your last convocation. And that threat that you said you was going to let Solid Rock attack anybody that came up against you, let them come for me. I ain't got nothing to tell but the truth. And this ain't to make the church look bad, because the church may be bad, but the kingdom of God ain't never been bad. And that's what I'm a part of, the kingdom of God. And people say, why you didn't say nothing? You must have wanted it. You must have liked it. Whatever, whatever. You a liar. Who in their right mind gonna want somebody that's 2.5 times bigger than them on top of them? Held me down. Let's talk about that. So what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to holler? Because the truth be told, one of my brothers that talked about how his mother and father and them lost everything, their family was in the room next door. The mother, her children, and her grandchildren was in the room on Main Street. Right next door when he went all the way there. Let's talk about it. I shared every detail with my wife's family because I felt like they needed to know. They needed to know. And you know what I've gone through the past year? That somehow this story, this situation got so twisted up that Jacoby's the bad person. Where I had a bond like this with my in-laws, now we like this. Because of this man. Do you blame me for not wanting to talk to nobody? That after I shared with you what was done to me, and you still go shout? No, I ain't got nothing to talk to you about. But I thank God for a wife that meant her vows to me, forsaking all others. Because me and my wife in this thing together. What they tried to do, he tried to do, was separate me and my wife to cause division because there was friction with family. But I can promise you one thing, me and Brittany been stronger than ever, as my Uncle Sharif would say. People say, why'd you have him do your wedding? Because I was a victim. I didn't want nobody to notice. He's been doing everybody else's wedding. Why now not let him do Jacoby's wedding? I told him, I said to my grandmother, I said to her, he can do my wedding, but you are the only one that will lay hands on me and my wife. My family's on here. They know I ain't lying. The only one. That's okay, baby. I keep them out my mouth. I'm just talking about my story. God bless you. The only one that knows that was going to lay hands on me. And see, this is the problem with this whole situation. It causes more issues with other people because if the truth got to be told, it's just got to be told. I ain't got nothing against nobody in my heart. But this is the truth. Because they were told to people, well, do you think that he would be so anointed if he did that? I'm not talking ill of nobody. Alyssa, I'm not talking ill of your grandma, baby. I'm just talking the truth. My truth. And I never called nobody name. I called a position. And for all I know, somebody else could be in the position. I don't know. And I don't have no ill feelings with nobody. So let the record be shown there. Okay? Thank you. My grandmother laid hands on me. My wife's pastor at the time, she blessed our rings. He did everything else. Okay, thank you. All right, your grandma ain't got nothing to do with it. That's fine. Thank you. Anyhow, so this picture from my wedding, you see that face? He didn't like it. My first kiss with my wife. That's fine. I'll be that also, Carl Parker. That's fine. I knew this was a part of, talking my truth. And that's what they're saying now. He was always gay. He shouldn't have never pursued Brittany, whatever, whatever, whatever. That's fine. What I want to say to my family, don't even go back and forth. That's fine. I'm sick. That's right. David Dupree is sick. He did it, but that's okay. Anyhow, so I went through all of that. My wife's grandfather passed away, and we were coming to the funeral. And I didn't want it to be an issue for my wife after I spoke about what has happened. My wife wanted to go, but she said she didn't want to sit there when he came forth about everything, as far as coming forth about preaching at the funeral. So I said to my wife, I ain't gonna let it get worked up. It's fine. So I said to my wife, and again, I ain't speaking ill of nobody. I'm just talking about what I've been through. But anyhow, I said to my wife, well, you can sit and listen to him preach. I've been listening to him forever now. It ain't gonna bother me none. But she didn't want to sit there. So we got up and we left when he got ready to preach. And I said, it's fine. It's cool. Me and my wife are good. At the time, I'm fine with, my in-laws and all that. It is what it is. But what bothers me is that he could have so much control that he divides families. That's what he thrives off of, dividing families. So I shared with just a few people about what had happened to me, never went into detail to try to destroy his name, anything like that, because my thought was, as long as me and my wife are good, nobody else, it doesn't matter to nobody else. We good. And the bullying began. People started saying that Jacoby this, Jacoby that, and I had not spoken a word about nobody or nothing. Nobody or nothing except to my family. I appreciate it, TJ. Except to my family had I talked to. And the family that I created by way of my marriage. You understand? My problem with all of this is why we want to jump on a victim when everybody else in there that know what's going on ain't saying nothing, but instead praising them, covering them. No, we ain't even doing that. So today, that's why I decided to say what I needed to say concerning BLD. I survived deception because what I thought it was is not what it was. I survived lies because that's what's been going on the whole past year now. And I survived depression. The past year has been a very depressed year for me and my wife and our family because of everybody who was supposed to be on their side, on her side, forsaked us for the sake of a man that ain't even your blood. Had I contracted this disease from this man because of his filthy desires, my wife would have been infected. My children could have been infected. But instead, people want to talk about me? No, we ain't going there. I ain't never.
Let me say this. That's a lot. Okay. It was a lot to hear. It's a lot to deal with. It's a lot. And it's a lot because of the simple fact that Not only is this apostle this man's grandfather, how many others has he done this to? I want to say, I believe there were about maybe 4 other men that came out with stories about what this man did to them. I want to say there was another young man that came out with this story because he was infected with HIV by this man. And what I find to be highly disturbing is the fact that nothing has happened. Nothing. And the problem is, and this is where I have an issue with a lot of what goes on inside of the Black church, right? There really is no real true organizational structure unless the church in and out of itself is like, let's say, Kojic, right? We know the Kojic church has a structure. No matter how big it is, but there is a structure. There is a person that is over Kojic. So that idealistically, if something like this was to happen, and it has happened in the Kojic church, they just don't talk about it. There should be, and notice I'm utilizing these words idealistically should be, because the problem is that even when there is a certain level of an organizational structure, a lot of things get pushed under that rug. No, we're not going to talk about this publicly. They'll sit them down and this sabbatical that you hear a lot of these preachers go on, 9 times out of 10, it's a sabbatical because they were caught in a scandal. That, let me not say 9 times out of 10. Let's say 70% of the time it's because they were caught in a scandal. Shout out to my cousin Ella. Ella made me this lip gloss, which happens to be my favorite. Graceful Glosses. I just love it. Anyway. So, you know, it is very hard for anyone to feel as if they're protected when there is no structure that protects. This man literally just sat here for 20 minutes, and his live was much longer, but the clip I have is 20 minutes of it. And literally detailed his experience with his own family, with the church as a whole, with his wife's family. Something that really and truly probably should have brought him closer and made him feel protected, made him feel like as if he has a voice, make him feel as if he had support. That ain't what he felt. That ain't what he felt. And this happens so often in the church world. Because the minute someone decides to take back their power, the minute someone decides to open up their mouth and use their voice, the minute someone decides that this is not okay, and I am not going to sit here and tolerate this level of behavior, the minute someone decides that, they are ostracized in this world. I know I was. I know I still am. Half of y'all can't even act like you publicly know me when you are a part of that church world. And don't think I don't realize it. Don't think I don't recognize it. I see it. I can feel it. Privately, you'll thank me. Privately, you'll praise me. Privately, you'll speak to me. But when it comes down to that public stuff, y'all be far away. And I know that you do it. I just ignore it because I don't care, because I have so many other people that are really part of my core that love me out loud. What you do doesn't even like disturb anything that I got going on. Because I'd rather you not be public, because you can't be, because of the things in which you have spoken against me. So you can't be public. You can't praise a person publicly that you have spent a lot of time tearing down. But this is what happens when we decide to open up our mouths, when we decide to say enough is enough, when we decide to say, nah, you ain't getting that off. This is what happens. In 20 minutes, this man literally described, not in detail because he didn't want to go into the detail, but described how his grandfather even treated him once he was getting married. He didn't want to hear it. Oh, look at the ring. I don't want to see that. Couldn't stomach the fact of the grandson being with someone else. That's sick. Because the fact that a man would even look at his grandson in that way is sick. But these same people bring their kids to the convocation. These same people bring their kids to the church. These same people sit up there and allow their kids, oh, I'm going to the bishop's office. Sit down. No, you're not. We don't do that. These same people give their tithe and their offering. Because how shall a man rob God? At least he robbed me, right? Mm-hmm. We know. God loves a cheerful giver. Mm-hmm. We know. Your well will never run dry. When you give a prophet, the prophets will. And I'm tired of y'all saying that one too. Half of y'all prophets is out of order for even using that, because that is not what that is for. Y'all just love swindling people. That's and I see y'all on Facebook. I see it all up and down my timeline. I'm like, y'all some of the biggest swindlers y'all got out here. They talking about the Tinder swindler. They need to start talking about church swindlers. Y'all sit up here, y'all talk so much crap about Lamar Whitehead, but the same stuff that he do, y'all do. Same thing. You just do it differently. And you try not to be as flashy. You try not to be as flamboyant with it. You're not setting up fake companies and acting like you're about to invest people money, but you swindle them good and out of their hard-earned money with that tithe and offering scam that a lot of y'all run. And especially don't call a prophetic night. Don't let the prophet come and y'all not giving up all your money. Don't let the prophet come and y'all not giving up your money. Y'all think people don't know that game? A lot of this is a game. How much money you want to raise in one service. You let the prophet know before they get up there. And the prophet is automatically going to say, and we didn't have this conversation. We didn't talk about none of this, but I hear the Lord say that there are 5 of you that can sow. 5. You know what? No. The Lord said it's 10. 10 of y'all can sow $1,000. I know you in here. I know you in here. The Lord wouldn't have told it to me. Where the hell is that at in the Bible? Nowhere. Y'all allow these people to swindle y'all. And I'm proud of this man. Through all his pain, through all his suffering. And he finally said, well, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to speak what happened to me. I'm speaking of my experience. No, I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm talking about what happened to me. This is my experience. And a lot of times what's happening is y'all try to rob people of telling of their experience because you don't want someone to tell of their experience with you. Because some of y'all like to act real innocent, and you're not. You're not innocent. You're just as grimy as the next person. But your grime is hidden through a fake smile. Your grime is hidden through fake praises. Your grime is hidden through fake prayers and fake prophecies, things that don't even make sense to you, that is only on your conscience, not on the person in which you're speaking to. That's dangerous. This man was manipulated, used, and abused. Not just by his grandfather. No. By the church. Because you can't tell me that not nobody suspect something was going on. Ain't no way in hell. All y'all sit up here act like y'all can see. You see so much until you're blind, huh? Because that's what I see. I see it all the time. I'm just like, oh, y'all eyes see so much until you're blind, till you don't see nothing at all. That to me is the true crime. The crime is the fact that you act like you can see all things with everybody else. You can see everything with everybody else. But what you can't see is what's right before your eyes. Can't see that. Or you just don't want to see it. I think it's what you don't want to see. I don't think it has anything to do with anything else. It's just what you don't want to see. Y'all got selective amnesia and selective vision. You see what you want to see. And then you try to say, well, we prophesy in part. That don't even count. Y'all use that so much too. It's dumb. It has literally become a dumb statement. Because we know in part and we prophesy in part. Let me say this. Y'all better not ever give me no half of a word talking about I prophesy in part. Don't tell me nothing then. I had to tell somebody yesterday. They inboxed me. What I meant was this. I said, well, that's why we speak in complete sentences. Complete sentences, please. So we want complete prophecies, complete visions, not this half-baked crap y'all got going on, calling it God. Because that's what that man is talking about right there. And it's a shame. I'm sorry. It's just a shame. That thing disturbed me so, because I said for years, people have had to suffer, and they still gonna suffer because we don't accept truth. We have a problem with truth. And the only way how this will ever get resolved is if we deal with why we don't like truth. And I'm not talking about your truth. I ain't talking about their truth. I'm talking about the truth. We have a problem with accepting what is true, with accepting what is real. We don't want to. We'd rather excuse it away. Well, we'll let God handle it. You know, He is my rock, my fortress, and my shield. Hey, that's what y'all do. And meanwhile, you got people running around here just hurt. How that make sense? It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. And we need to stop acting like crap like this makes sense. Until next time.